Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for taking out time again. As always, it's a pleasure to have you all here. Today, we know that we're going to talk about mainly the stocks that I would be looking to accumulate, right, over the next week as Nifty falls towards 22,000 and it seems increasingly likely further down to 20,000. The core reason comes from what the Houthis have done towards Israel, and they've been very clear that as long as the attacks on Israel have been going, what's up, Sniper Dog? Welcome back. So the Houthis are the main focus right now. I think that's what we will see over the coming week, because what Saudi Arabia had done, and I'll show this to you over a map. So if you just look at Iran, right, and then the area around it, just so we're on the same page about this. I mean, I'm sure you guys have already read about this somewhere, but if you just look at this area, right, we know that this is our Strait of Hormuz now. Already, so we can see the countries here. So this Strait of Hormuz has been blocked by Iran. That was a problem. That's why you saw the $120 crude and everything. Now the problem is the Houthis are attacking from Yemen here, and they can now create problems in the Red Sea here, which is this strait as well. I don't remember the name of the strait right now, but this has now become the second most important strait, because Saudi Arabia has a pipeline that goes horizontally through the country that is now delivering, I think, 7 million barrels, and the total displaced is 20 million barrels from Hormuz. So this is about half that's being replaced here. And then from the reserves, if the IEA manages to take out oil, they can add another 2 million barrels, and then there's other forms of equivalences that can be created. So the current shortfall stands at 4 million barrels a day, about. But what is happening is Houthis are threatening this trade now, which puts the another 7 million barrels at risk. Indirectly put, there'll always be adjustments. So that is becoming the major story now. They've already attacked Israel, and they are saying very clearly that as long as attacks are going on Iran, they'll continue attacking. This is about as big as the Strait of Hormuz being blocked. What this basically does is it freezes all trade to Europe. Because what had happened was earlier, right, way earlier, trade. You understand what I mean? This was how big a traversal it had to be. This is, if I'm not wrong, an artificially created route so that we don't have to go all around Africa. And now this route is being blocked. So this cuts off Europe from the Middle East and Asian countries, most of Asian countries, because now you have to go over Pacific. And again, cargo ships don't really travel this way a lot for the natural reason that, you can see the size of this ocean, right? Pacific Ocean. So it isn't just about oil anymore. It is that all exports to Europe start to suffer because shipping costs, even if you manage it, shipping costs go exponentially higher. And that's why I think the gap down on Nifty on Monday, again, if nothing changes overnight, will be massive. I think it's at least a 1.5-2% gap down on Nifty. Again, your OMCs suffer. Even if the government is taking the 10 rupee excise duty, that 10 rupee is basically what OMCs would have lost. So OMCs would have been negative 9 rupees about per liter. Government is taking the 10 rupee ka hit. So OMCs won't take a loss, but they won't make the profits they have been making, right? That's why your HPCL and everything has been trading higher. So this reported by the government that they'll cut the excise duty. Good for the country, for inflation. It will help in a way. But here what had happened was their profits had increased, right? They're working out a 6% operating margin. Now that won't be happening. They'll be at a 0% or even negative. So that's what we're looking at now. So OMCs will still struggle. Gold hasn't rebounded, so your Muthoot Finance and all will still struggle. That continues. Hey Rudra, I'm good. How are you? Good evening. I'm just going through this. Monday short covering, no Sniper. I don't think so. I think adding shorts. Is the network fine now, Rudra? Or are you still facing issues? Is anyone else facing an issue? Do let me know, please. What's up, Aryan? How are you? I'll just continue. If there's an issue, then please let me know, guys. Right, so coming back to this, I don't expect a short covering on Monday. I think we'll see again, if nothing else changes, I think it'll be one of the tougher days over the last month. One of the tougher days would be Monday, because now we know that Trump has sent troops to the Middle East, additional troops, and now they're also sort of softening us to the idea of an invasion. Because small articles are popping up now saying that the US is preparing a ground invasion, but they're not saying a full-scale invasion. We're just preparing on one island or this or that, but that's the trajectory it takes. The exact thing played out with Iraq as well. And in Iraq's case, I don't know if you're aware, but they literally burned oil fields. So that production never came back to capacity. And Middle East, your Qatar and your Saudi Arabia and all have already had to reduce their capacity semi-permanently. If it's not coming for 5 years, for all sense and purposes for the stock market, that's permanent, right? Because we have to bake in 5 years worth of no returns. That means the stock crashes thinking it's permanent, and then we'll see what happens 5 years later. So short covering, no. Like, I don't think, from what I know right now, I don't think there's an ounce of short covering. I think it's just, it'll either find a level and just stay there where some people are covering shorts and others are selling, or it's going to keep going lower. One of two things. And I think we've reached a point where, and this is massive, and this is something that I would still call a hunch. I can't say this is happening for sure, but it's an educated guess that we've reached a point where DIIs will start seeing redemption pressure. Because now people are getting scared and people have debts to pay and people are not getting salary increases, people are getting laid off. The biggest firms in the world, I think it was JP Morgan or Morgan Stanley, who's given a notice or a warning of sorts to thousands of employees saying that you have to step up your game in the AI world or you'll be laid off. And this is happening all around the world. So salaries are not increasing, people are suffering. And at the same time, we have this happening. So if people were ever thinking about redeeming their funds, they'll be like, you know what, it's probably going to fall more, I have to redeem. This is something I talked about 18 months back. You can check the videos. I said this is how bull markets end for retail investors. This is how retail loses out. When they have to redeem their funds, when they don't have jobs and the market is at a bottom. So your notional loss becomes permanent loss. That's the kind of scenario that's, unfortunately, it really looks like that's playing out now. I hope it doesn't happen because that's the worst case scenario, but it looks like that's happening. Puts on 6,700 levels on SPX. So if you generally ask me about where S&P is going, I don't see it going higher from here. To be honest, over the week, I would hold my puts because it seems like there is a volatility. Now, honestly speaking, I never buy naked options. I, in fact, work on options very little. I'm currently reading about it. And I remember someone asked me about books. So just, if you're here, just drop that message about what kind of books you're looking at. I'll just show you them quickly. But the idea is I don't buy naked options, but it seems like a good option to be in. If you've already held it over the weekend, so your theta decay is baked in, you'll see a volatility spike on Monday, most likely, along with the downside pressure. So it will be a double whammy win for a put. Now, if we get panic selling, it could happen. If we get panic selling, then I will be covering my shorts aggressively. I might even go net zero or even positive. I'll put up a post because I can't come live immediately, but I'll put up a post for sure if I do that. But now I'm hunting. Now I'm hunting for that one moment where it's complete panic. And then I want to start buying. And I'll talk about which stocks here. But that put for tomorrow, you most likely are going to win big tomorrow. Jan 2027. Oof. Then to theta decay doesn't matter to you that much. Now this is going to be an amateurish opinion because I've never held options that long dated. But in my opinion, might want to hold for another month till I would hold it till I see blood on the streets, as they say, right? Complete panic. Retail redemptions coming in, your the leveraged ETFs that have been created, when they start suffering, right? When two of them go bust, that's what I would be covering. So PVR Inox, I would buy if they pivot a little, because you can't have enough of the kind of movies you need for PVR to really build big profits. I know the food business is doing great, right? You can buy a $1,500 ka ticket. Let's say we call it the best tickets, right? You buy $1,500 ka ticket and you're going to order food worth $4,000. You buy $500 ka ticket, you order food for 2,500, 3,000, equal, right? So everyone is spending a lot of money on food, on cold drinks and popcorn. And that's a high margin business. That should make money. The problem is most people would rather wait to see that movie on OTT unless it's like a Dhurandhar 2. But how many of Dhurandhar 2s are you going to get? That's kind of, pardon me, against, or not against, but I'm skeptical about PVR Inox. I still think it's a good business, but they need to show that they can diversify to something else. Right? Like, I think they'd come in with an idea of having gaming in their movie theaters. I don't know where they went with that, but that could be like a different leap to take if e-gaming becomes or continues to become bigger. then I would think about going into it, or some other pivot that the management comes up with that's beyond my comprehension. But based on just this core business, I wouldn't buy into the stock. It can still rebound. I'm not saying it can't. The business is definitely worth more than 9,000 crores in a country like India. That I'll 100% agree with. And does it make even for a decent thought to buy here? Yeah, it's near long-term supports as well. So even technically, I don't think it's a bad place to enter just as such. But I wouldn't hold it long-term because I don't think the business is good enough to hold long-term yet. In terms of price action, it's a good entry point, in my opinion. It's gas, Gaurav, right? So that's kind of answers our question there. So, is it a company I would buy at about, let's say, 700? Yeah, but at 940, no. I want to see if this bottom is big enough, but at 940, I wouldn't buy it. Especially a gas-based business. This is cyclical tops, right? For all oil and even commodities, cyclical top lag raha hai. Even metals, I don't know if they'll rebound the way I had hoped they would. So the list I've made, I have it here. This is what I'm going to share with you today and look at each stock. But there are no metal stocks. In terms of sector, I haven't even added metals as a sector yet. So I'm not sure about commodity plays in either way, like upstream, downstream. I'm not sure about commodity plays right now. Okay, so now getting to the stocks, right? Before that, crude oil prices, yeah, this is going to be very interesting. We closed at about 101 on WTI crude. This is in Brent. So assume Brent is about 107, 8 around. This is going to open at 110 tomorrow, 105, 110 tomorrow. It's going to open massively up. The Houthis thing, I don't think, and that's the biggest sign, the media isn't covering it as much as it should. It's a massive deal. The Houthis had not entered the war. This strait was closed. The strait was open, the Red Sea. If that is coming under threat, it's a massive deal. And Houthis have been doing this just for no reason. If we think that they won't attack, Houthis do this every 3-4 months just for the sake of it. So for them to do it as a proper response, 100%. More so, the reason I think they didn't enter the war for the first month is because they were getting prepared for no other reason. Because Houthis are a proxy of Iran. It's not like they're a separate group with a different identity or way of thinking. They're a proxy group of Iran. They called them together. They're the ones who stand up against the US in the Middle East. Right. So what I think might have been happening in the background is they were getting armed. Now, whether it was Russia, whether it was China, whether it was just Iran, or they were building tunnels, or what they were doing, of course, I'm not qualified to talk about that. But I think all that happened was they were preparing. And now that they're prepared, we might see bigger action. Also, and this is a tangent, I just read about this, that the reason that Saudi hadn't entered the war was because Houthis hadn't entered. That was like a deal of sorts that the Houthis wouldn't prevent any transport from the Red Sea and the Saudis wouldn't directly enter the war. This is somewhere, I just read this. I can't say if it's true or not, of course. But if that is the deal, then Saudi also enters and it becomes a full-scale regional war. That means the Saudi pipeline also suffers, right? It's a regional war. Everything is up for attack. So that becomes an even bigger deal, and oil gets the biggest price shock in history. We're looking at oil at $200 a barrel, as Iran had promised, close to that at least. So it's expanding, is what I'm trying to get through to you guys. It has expanded a lot. Hey there, so Delta Corp, I've started accumulating as well. Exactly what I would do. I'd keep accumulating. Now we're looking at a liquidity crunch from private credit, from AI, which is a proxy of what's happening in the Middle East. And we're looking at a supply shock, right? A crude oil shock, which precedes the biggest recessions. In history, all the biggest recessions have been preceded by a crude oil shock. So I'm not shocked that this shock happened. And in that, anything can suffer. So Delta Corp could very well go down to, I believe, 20 something was the level where I'd seen it go, bottoming. But it's a good time to accumulate because you never know. It might just turn, right? I think this is the level, right? 50 about is here, 50 about is here. It could go all the way here, 1720, right? I genuinely do not care. Because for me, I know it's going back to 300. I'll just keep accumulating. Then if the company goes bust, I lose 3% of my portfolio. I'm cool with that. Because my risk to reward here is just too massive. Right? Like if I put in 3%, it's trying to make 18% of my portfolio. That's a massive 15% outperformance on the index is not nothing. I'm ready to lose 3% for that. So with that in mind, yeah, good time. So Raghav, that I can't say. I don't think anyone can. Maybe there's someone smart enough to do that, but I'm not. Because this is just psychology. Depends on the news flow. Biggest determinant would be the news flow. If Houthis come in and say that, you know what, we won't let anything go through the Red Sea without our permission. If they say that, then the market prices in one day. But even then, even right now, oil markets especially are complacent about what is happening. Oil should be at 130 right now. It's still stuck around 100, 105. That's not a fair value. So somewhere there is still this belief in everyone that the stock market will always go up, that will somehow normalize, that something will happen. Till that breaks, till that mentality breaks, it will still be digested. Now that could break in one day if suddenly a ship is attacked in the Middle East, if a US aircraft carrier is downed, if something massive happens, right? That's how it gets priced in one day. You get panic, and that's when you know, yes, it's down. But you have to see panic of a scale that we haven't seen in the last 5 years. Not in your June of 2021, not in October of 2021, not in April of 2025. A kind of panic that doesn't stop till the day ends. Hey Vikram. So India is investing in solar. The problem is that there's a limit to what we can do. We already have a glut and of solar panels and everything, right? The reason we have that is we don't have transmission capacity. So India can generate more electricity. That part is not difficult, right? You, it's much easier to build that. It still takes years. Whether if it's nuclear, it takes 10 years. If it's thermal, it takes less time. If it's solar, it takes even fewer days. The problem is we don't have the transmission capacity, and transmission capacity takes years to build, 5, 7, 10 years. So buying into solar stocks right now wouldn't make sense to me until we build transmission. And if transmission companies have to get profits first, I'd rather invest in transmission companies, right? That would be my play. That in the power sector, if I want to play something, I would play it two ways. I'd play IRIDA, which is the first stock I've written on this list, by the way, top left. If I'm playing the power sector, I'm playing IRIDA. Because whoever does whatever in renewable energy, it's going to come through IRIDA. Their profit will increase. So that's going to be number one. I think its fair value should be around 300 for what it's promising. So that's 3x from here. And when it happens, it will happen in 2 months. I'm still ready to take a loss. I'm ready to see it out. I'm ready to wait for 10 years if that's what it takes, because I know that's the fair value. Just a disclaimer there. But I wouldn't buy into solar companies directly. Like I wouldn't buy into a Tata Power unless I see the transmission business really picking up. Yeah. Advait Energy may be an exception because they're trying to do something big, but it's a stock that doesn't really have a history of always delivering. So I'll be a little skeptical about it, but if they take the right steps, yeah, Advait Energy could be something we could go into. What do you think of the downside in this PE? Okay, Vikram, could you expand on this? Like, you mean PE for Nifty? You mean PE for a particular stock, or you mean like price correction and that's a typo? Just expand on that, please. Geofinancial. So Geofinance I have here as a stock that I should buy, right? Second in the banking sector. I would go long in futures. 200 is a point where I would like to see if it rebounds. But yeah, Geofinance is a good hold for the long term. I don't think that the Ambanis have made this such a big deal without having a plan for it. I think there is some plan in the background. So it'll be one of the stocks I'd go into in the futures once the market bottoms out. I don't know if you saw this, but right at the bottom, right when I was done with it all, I wrote this, right? Still not the time to buy. Because I checked a lot of stocks and they haven't found strong bottoms. So many stocks. You pick your ABBs of the world, you pick your power grids of the world. We haven't bottomed out in large way. They have to go down another 20-25% for us to have what we call the end of a cycle, right? It's a reset in valuations, it's a reset in prices. That doesn't happen by the stock correcting 15%. It happens when you get to a massive support. For example, if I look at Trend, which is another stock that I really like, I really want to buy into, where is its support? It's corrected by a lot, but it hasn't reset its valuations. A reset of valuations would be somewhere here before this unrealistic began. This would be where a reset of valuations would happen. 1400. I know that sounds crazy, but that seems like a place where I would go all in. So now I can accumulate here 2000. I can put in something here at 3000 at these prices, about maybe a tranche, but I don't feel comfortable doing that. I don't think we have bought it. Even LNT, which everyone would argue LNT is such a great stock, it's fallen. Why wouldn't we buy into it? But it hasn't really ended the cycle. It's given us a strong correction. It's not the end of the cycle. Look at how LNT's cycle ends. This isn't the first time. Here, let's forget the great financial crisis. 2010, 900 all the way down to 450, half. This isn't once here. 1250 all the way down to 760, 700. Again, about half, right? 625 would be exact half. Now, we know what happened in COVID. What we've seen here, right? This 2000 to 1500 above, that's only a 20% correction. L&T gives you 50% corrections at cycles. So L&T at 2000, I'm very happy buying. And that's where this support is. I don't think that's a coincidence. That's where the peak of the previous cycle was, right? This is where 2021 ka cycle ended. If I take this as the previous peak and not this, which would be too much, but yeah, that's where I'd be comfortable buying into. So that means L&T has to go down another what? From 3500 to 2200, that's what, 22 or 2000? 2000, right? It's 3500 to this 1500, that makes it 1400, 40% down. From here, there is room for things to go. Yeah, so Geofinance I like. About Nifty P, I think that's what you meant. So if I look at Nifty 50, the problem is we've gone to consolidated P, so I can't even trust this chart as much. But this would be a level where I think, yeah, this seems to be enough time. If you notice, Nifty hasn't broken this 19p in a while, right? I don't think that's where it stops. See, this bear market, even the COVID bear market at 17p. This is not even a major bear market. We have a 15 ka P, 16 ka P. And a major bear market, we have, this would be somewhere around 12 ka P. It can go a long way down. We can't wait for it. Those are 15, 17 would be a place where I think, yeah, now it's definitely cheap for the long term. I know it's a lot of bad news, but sometimes we just have to accept that bad things are coming so we can protect ourselves for the time being. And then good things will come. I'm going to be the first guy to say we should buy equities. In fact, right now, I'd say that of all the assets in the world, equities are the best priced. Not gold, not silver. In terms of long-term investors, this equity is the best right now. Because you know you're going to get a 30% return even from here in 1 year. 100%. Maybe 99%, right? Sometimes you have the 2000, 2005 style crisis. Star Housing Finance, just check it. So my point is this, right? We still have equities as, I think, now the best investment in the world. But because I see more downside, because DIs have to be broken, sadly. Like their power has to be broken for this to end. Till they can completely counter, bear market content, because the belief doesn't go. Bear markets end with the end of belief. Okay, Star Housing Finance, right? Never looked at this company, so I can give you a tertiary look, Abhi, but then we'll have to see where it goes from there. I mean, this kind of chart only comes when there is something up and 30 crore ka market cap. I mean, come on. Okay, let's see. Rural focused. Rural focused companies should be doing well, in fact, over the last 2 years, if you forget what happened after April. So, yeah, it was kind of doing well before this. You can assume that this is when Trump was confirmed and people started accepting the fate. But yeah, this is the definition of a falling knife. So there's got to be something here. I'll have to look up separately. I can't do that right now because to find if there's something wrong, if I can find it, it would require a considerable amount of time. But I'll look into it. I'll check into it quickly. If you just want to make like a 1 minute check, since we don't have any other questions, Abhi, just do this now. We'll see something will come up. Nothing as such. I'm sure you did this already. But I'll look into it because ये तो बहुत peripheral हो गया. I'll take a look. Let's see if we can find something. Now, so what will be my strategy for Monday? I already have added to my short positions, as I told you on Thursday that I'd added on Wednesday as well, that I added to my short positions. I'm quite happy with how I'm positioned. But my next sector that I'm looking at to short is Pharma. I know it's a safe sector. I know that's what everyone would have you believe. And it's kind of true. It is a safe sector because Pharma doesn't really suffer. But I think it's about time that Pharma also starts falling because this is also cyclical. Not cyclical in terms of necessity of their goods or interest rates. It's cyclical in terms of liquidity. That's it. PE compression hota hai. So it's not Cipla. I haven't built the complete list of the exact stocks I would go short on, but anything that's near all-time highs. So maybe not even this. Let me just look at this. So let's just go one by one. So Sun Pharma seems like a good short. My stop loss here would be the peak here, 1825 about, which is only what 2% away. So with that stop loss, I would be going short on Sun Pharma because cyclical tops aate hain yaar. It can't keep going up like this. In terms of PEB, average PE के ऊपर है. So this is a sector I'm looking to short. Apollo Hospitals is another one. Even Divi's Lab looks like it might be a good short. So, and it's not like I'm shorting them because it's the worst sector. It's one of the better sectors, but I'm thinking of shorting them because this is the only sector near all-time highs, and I want that safety cushion. I want that stop loss that can get me out of the trade. So it seems like it's about time to short this as well. Even promoters have been selling, right? Apollo Hospitals ke promoters beach. It doesn't make sense. And with the FI ownership, they'll always be selling pressure if FIs are selling. Not a lot of retail ownership though. So I haven't done the research on it, but this is a sector I'm looking at, in case you guys are also wondering. Now, about the stocks that I'm looking to buy. First is IRIDA. I've already told you it's the perfect play for the power sector in India, right? If renewable energy, alternative energy has to become a thing, IRIDA will win out. It is well managed. So far, I haven't managed to find anything untoward. Now, if we get a scam, that's a completely different situation. But otherwise, IRIDA seems like one of the best bets. Now, if there's a scam, that's why I'll only put in 2 to 3%, right? If the scam comes in, stock crashes, then maybe add another or book out depending on the severity of the scam. Then we have Paradeep Phosphates, the best fertilizer play in India right now. For me, this is the best fertilizer play in India right now. They also have a decent amount of land back, just if it helps. And it's corrected to about half, doesn't get better. I would buy Paradeep Phosphates. So that's the second one. Then we have Accum's Drugs, simply because it holds promise. It's still got a small market cap, and I want a company that can go 5x. If a company is already 1 lakh crore, it can't go 5x. So it looks like a good stock to buy into. And over the last 1 month, it hasn't really fallen, right? Just 3-4% kind of movement to buy, which in a way, brilliant, right? Tells me that it's not as volatile. And generally, if in these situations when the entire small cap, mid cap index is suffering, if the company is even managing to hold itself, very good sign. Promoters haven't sold. FIs have very little ownership, so वो pressure भी नहीं आ सकता है. I know DIs have to be broken and then it might suffer, but I'll just accumulate. But the 14% here shows us that it's a company that can be trusted, right? It's well vetted. Then Mankind Pharma as a play on what I see as a trend in the future. We know people don't want to have kids, and this is one of the biggest winners of that trend, right? You guys know exactly how, don't ask me how. But Mankind would be one of the stocks that I would go into. Then IT is top of my list. It didn't fall even on Friday, and I can see why. Right? TCS has already corrected to half. These stocks don't do that too often, so it's a brilliant opportunity to buy. Infi, I'm itching to buy Infi in futures. Genuinely itching. Two things can happen here. Either it takes support here, the 1220, 1200 to 1300 ka range, or it goes all the way down to 840. That's what I see happening. If it is to go to 840, then the market is basically broken. So I'll have to break my stop loss here. If it doesn't go all the way there, then this is where it rebounds from. So even I'm not sure if I'm buying into it right now. I'll have to see tomorrow. Maybe with a stop loss, I will. Most likely I will, because I have to buy somewhere. I have to make that mental shift somewhere. So Infi is something that I'm looking at in futures, not just Infi, all IT. Whatever gives me a good entry and exit point, meaning becomes a good trade, I'd want to go into. Tech Mahindra at 1300 about seems like not at 1400 because stop loss bahut dur ho jata hai, but it's still in this trend line more or less. I think that has to be broken. So at 1000 I'm in. At 1000 I'm 100% into Tech Mahindra. Another one is HCL Tech. So it is at a big support of sorts, which is this level here, right? Around, what is it, 1300? 1300. So about at this level, it has a big support. So maybe worth a shot. But if not, then yeah, this actually should be the bottom for HCL Tech. Give me a second. I think I made an error with Infosys. Sorry. Infosys ka peak was Yeah, so that is definitely not happening. Infosys ka bhaiya. That's where I'd see Infosys going. So HCL Tech is another one that I'm looking at. Then what else do we have? HDFC Bank. If I want to go in the futures again, not right now. Again, let this play out. Let the market fall. I think there's more downside to HDFC Bank as well. But around these levels, around 660, I think I've written 670 is my level. At that point, I'm 100% in. At 650, 670, HDFC Bank 35% corrected from the top. I'll hold it for 3 years if I have to. I'm getting those 35%. There's no doubt about it, today or tomorrow. There's 1% of the bank collapses, but really, if HDFC Bank collapses and the Indian government has collapsed. Then we have Geofinance, as I already said. Right? I'm basically banking on the Ambanis to figure it out, which they've already done historically, and they've already shown promise. So I think they will. And Bajaj Finance. How could there not be Bajaj Finance? And you'll notice a trend. Almost all the stocks I mentioned are large caps, because in new bull markets, large caps give you returns first. Mid caps and small caps बाद में ही आते हैं, because सबसे पहले the stocks that start to run are the places where institutional money flows in, and they'll be the most liquid stocks. So the market will turn because of the FIIs when they start buying big. And what will they buy? They'll buy these stocks. So they will run. And I'll be long in futures. That is at least my plan whenever it comes in. I can't tell you if it happens at 22,000, at 20,000, 19,000, 18,000. I really can't tell you that. But at some point it will happen, and I'll be here to tell you guys that I believe this is the time to start buying it. Right now, is it the perfect time? Definitely not. This is the time to conserve still. KPIT Tech. We know that long term it's a good play. It's already fallen a lot. But would I buy at these prices? Let me just see. So it's broken this peak, which means the next support comes in here. 500 about. So maybe at those levels. But I don't know what to tell you, honestly. At 23, it's not cheap. I know it's an IT stock, and 23 might look cheap, but actually isn't. 15 to 18 is considered expensive. 20 maybe. Because for FMCG, yeah, would be cheap, but not for an IT stock. So would I buy at these prices? No. But is it still a good company? Definitely. Hell yeah. Sorry about the word. Iron Exchange, great company, right? I would buy it whenever I get a chance. Whenever I get a chance, I'd buy Iron Exchange. I'll get to Reliance in a bit. That's a very interesting question. So the thing about Iron Exchange is it is the premier water treatment company in India, for me at least. But it's just run up so much, it's difficult to buy into it. Like their earnings can't go up in multiples, right? They will grow by 15%, 18% at best. So 15-18 ka PE looks good. 25 ka PE looks expensive. And I think by the time it gets to 15-18 ka PE, it'll reach this 250 level. I'll buy that. Because water treatment has to be big, especially for the AI boom, right? Hey, Janan, welcome back. Reliance, I'm not shorting. My main reason to not short it is it's too diversified. One or the other sector always comes in, just as saving it. One or the other sector always comes in. So Reliance ko short karna is I can't find a sectoral play. Most of my trades, right, happen because I see a sector, because of some change in policy or some macroeconomic indicator or a geopolitical shock. Some sector is going through something. Then I'm going to find the weakest, or I'm going to see that something big is happening in the world, and then I'll see which sectors will get impacted, and I'll sort of reverse engineer it. The problem with Reliance is it is so diversified that you can't really pin it down. At least one or two of their sectors are always doing well. If it's not going to be OMCs, which helped it the last year or so, refining, I mean, if it's not going to be refining, then it's going to be retail. If it's not going to be retail, then it's going to be your data provision. So something or the other is always there. What do I do? How do I short Reliance knowing that? That's why I don't short it. See, that's the thing, Sniper. Whether to exit or not, see, at these prices, no. For me, it would be a simple no. Because I don't want to make a notional loss into a proper loss. Now, will it give us great returns over the next 1 year? I can't tell you, because, again, it's a flexi cap fund. Did the fund manager make the right changes at the right time? How did he or she make that work? So I can't tell you that without looking at the details of the flexi fund. But in my opinion, when the market is down, you shouldn't be selling, you should be buying if you're a long-term investor. And that's what mutual funds are for. Whether it's Nifty 22, 20, 15, 10, whatever it is. If you're a long-term investor, you buy when the market is going down. You never sell your mutual funds then. Thank you, John. Okay, AI cooling stocks. So what would you buy, right? I want to buy. I love that. But what would we buy? ABB India, maybe? that can in a way work. I wouldn't buy a Voltas for sure. It's too consumer dependent, and consumers are going to suffer over the next few. Then you can buy Amber, maybe Enterprises. Good, but then prices become important. At what entry point do we go in? ABB I had checked. ABB is not close to an entry point at all. In fact, I was considering shorting it. Then we have Amber Enterprises. Right now, I'm looking at buying into futures. I'm not looking at buying cash again, to be honest. And at these prices, too expensive. 90 valuation. Why? Really? Air conditioners, 100 times valuation. How much is it going to do? ABB I wouldn't buy. Vatik Babag I'd accumulate, but not at these prices. Long term, they have one of the brightest futures in the country. One of my first videos that had gone big, got like 40,000, 35, 40,000 views, must be 40,000 by now, was on water treatment stocks. And I think, yeah, this is a sector that should do well, but it's already trading at high valuations. It's 20, 22 ka valuation for infrastructure plays doesn't work. At 5, 6 valuation, they're good buys. At 10 valuation, they're decently priced. At 20 valuations, they're expensive. So they have to correct back down to reality first. I think this is the bare minimum, 900 about. But I would guess lower still. Guess very lower still before they rebound. And then we'll give a big return. Varun Beverages, Rudra, give me 1 second. And if I miss out on a question, please let me know. Varun Beverages. I like this company. I've already said that in the past. But it had become a little too retail dependent. If you just notice this change, right? 2,61,000 to suddenly 9 lakh. That is one of the reasons why it's falling. Otherwise, it's a brilliant company to be in. It's even trading fairly cheap. They're diversifying. They're doing all the right things. This chart, from someone with my level of technical understanding, I can't read. There must be someone who can. If I can add a few indicators, I might be able to, but I can't read this chart. I can't give you a strong entry point because there are so many as such resistances and pivots, but none of them seem very strong because it has never really consolidated. This was its support. This region, 444, 420 region, that was its support. Breaking below this, anything could be the downside. Right? It could end up anywhere. But it's a company that's growing. That's the best part. Their profits have grown considerably. Their revenue has grown considerably. So it should work. High operating margin, again, brilliant. 23 meaning, for a FMCG company, that's brilliant, right? Long-term target for an exchange, it so depends on the government's ability to spend thereof that I would be misguiding if I give you a real long-term target. It's very easy for me to fake the numbers, but I would be faking it. I don't want to do that. Once I understand how big an impact this whole situation will have on the government's balance sheet, then I know how much they can afford to spend on infrastructure. And that would matter a lot for this. Once we see how the dearth of chips over the next few weeks, as these straits remain closed, how that affects the AI and data center boom, that tells us how much water we really need. Because for me, ion exchange is a thing not because water is getting scarce. It's becoming a thing because AI consumes a lot of water. And if data centers consume a lot of water, let me put it that way, if that becomes an issue, if their growth suffers, then these companies suffer the most, one of the most. So I want to see how that plays out, and then I can come up with some reasonable, educated numbers. Right now, it will be like throwing a dart in the dark. So for now, these companies are not worth touching. No, John, and I feel so bad about it. To the 7,500 about MCX pay, I looked at it and I thought, let me pick up 5-10 lots. I'm talking about the minis. So let me just pick it up, and I did not. I felt so bad the next day because I could see the crude has to go up. I don't know why I didn't pick it up. I was just skeptical. Cipla at current levels, I wouldn't buy Sniper Dog. I was thinking about shorting, but Cipla thoda correct ho gaya hai. So it's at like a no trade level. We talked about it 2 minutes back. No trade level for me. Though I am negative on Pharma now. I think valuation check out of Pharma. Sarigama, give me your thesis behind it, Sniper Dog. Why do you want to buy into Sarigama? You always do this every second live. You come up with a stock like this. Why would you go into Sarigama? Don't short Pharma. Vikram, you're right, but the problem is that this same drug has now been linked to very bad side effects that nobody's talking about. Google it. Just Google Ozempic and massive side effects, and then I think you'll run into articles. This came into the news like a week or 10 days back. So the moment that news becomes common knowledge, they crash. And Again, they're selling it at such cheap prices. Margin तो है ही नहीं ना, तो फायदा क्या होगा? कर भी लेंगे तो इतना बड़ा कोई फायदा नहीं होने वाला. And होना भी होगा, they'll already be baked because the news is out. This is a falling knife, no? So Indian hotels, I remember there was this game we used to play a long time back. Me, my dad, and the family would sit, and it had stocks in that. It was a board game, and Indian hotels was the card I was most scared of there, because it had made me lose so many times because it was volatile. Like we had to use debentures to come out when a stock went bust. I never had debentures, or even if I had, Indian hotels always took it up. This was a real board game, and I used to play when I was 8 or 9. And that's where I started thinking Indian hotels is not a stock that's going to do well. So I'm a little biased. But at the same time, this is not justified. These prices are not justified for Indian hotels. 47 times PE for a company that runs hotels, they can't grow at 47% a year. It's financially impossible. And when things like this happen, as is happening in the Middle East, how badly do you think Indian hotels is going to suffer? I recently went to Delhi. Other than the Leela Palace, every hotel was cheaper by 25%, 30%, 25%, 30%. And they were more or less not as crowded as usual. So hotels are suffering already because Middle East is a massive um, tourist exporter to India. Not just that, India becomes a layover for many people, right? So I wouldn't count on Indian hotels delivering massive returns soon. In terms of the chart, there is a support if you're looking to buy. If that's your thesis, for me, what I can see is a 45, 50K around support here. That seems like a good support, but then I don't see much. Yeah, sorry. So you're right there, yeah. But the problem is now the work that would be done for the government usually would not, either it wouldn't pay immediately, or even if it pays, it will be low margin. Usually it will be paid so much later that you lose out on the time value of money there. Because debt to आप पे कर ही रहे हो ना. Usually they'll work, these people will work on credit, तो वो 6%, 7%, best case scenario 7-8% पे debt मिलेगा, वो भी pay करना पड़ता है, तो that also eats into margins. So just doing it for city infrastructure, or whatever is civil, won't usually generate enough returns for stocks to become multi-baggers. They become multi-baggers when private data center companies go to them and say, we need a lot of water. How can you make it happen? And then they'll say to one of two things. Either EPC, I'm going to create a turnkey project for you and I'll take 1%, 5%, whatever they decide. Or they'll say, fine, we'll supply you water, let's create a pipeline. Either case, they win out. So water, I'm very bullish water treatment pay, but not the right time to buy. I have to see how the situation evolves. Supreet, crude will react the fastest, right? Crude futures. But I think first sign of recovery would actually come from statements. For me, the first would be Iran softening. So either Iran takes a massive hit, then I can think about it. But considering everything, the first sign of recovery would be panic. We have to see a point where brokers are calling people and saying, either you give me margin right now or I'm cutting all your trades. That's what we need now. You know that 11 a.m., 12 p.m. ka panic, where everything is getting cut out. And that happens when we see the market blood red. Then we know that even if all the news is bad, even if crude is still rising higher, the market will still start recovering. Because worse things will happen before the market recovers. I think someone said this on Z Business. Things will keep getting worse, but the market will keep rising higher. Because everything gets priced in to the extreme. Bull case mein and bear case mein. So when you see a point where there's so much selling that you can't make heads or tails of it, then why is there so much selling? And then you know that all margin has been wiped out, all leverage has been wiped out except the who short. When you see the government panicking and saying, we'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do this, that's what will happen that day evening then. The government will come and say, we're going to do all this, blah, blah, blah. Things will still be worse, but next year the market will show you recovery. When massive crashes get bought into, when we see Nifty's gap down 3%, 3.5%, and over the day it slowly rises up and comes back to 1.5% down. Those are signs that somewhere the big beasts are thinking that these are good levels to buy. Those will be real first signs. It will be more psychological than it would be numerical. And that's very difficult to read, but I'll be here. I'll be there to tell you that I believe it's time for that bottom to be called, at least temporarily, and then it might crash more. Who knows? Pardon me. QSR sector looks good because it's a great play for the tier 2, tier 3 cities, not tier 1 cities. Tier 1 cities have moved past your Domino's and Taco Bell. They've moved into more niche, more posh versions of things. But for the tier 2, tier 3 cities, these guys will dominate. Dominoes will dominate. So there it can become a massive play. And I think the next bull run will be dominated by tier 2, tier 3 cities based stocks or rural based stocks. So there QSR might just be the best sector to be invested in, Raghav. It's a brilliant question. It's a brilliant question. Nobody's talked about this with me yet. Nobody have spoken on call, nobody on live. So this is a brilliant way to look at it if that's what you thought about it. But I think the next bull run will be led by stocks. Probably QSR would also be there, but stocks and sectors that are catering to tier 2, tier 3 cities and the rural sector. Because that's what was ignored in the last bull cycle. Kieran, heat exchangers, just look at the chart once for me, please. All-time high. It hasn't really corrected. That's a good sign. But 81 ka P is not justified. Sure, it's a small company. Let's see if they're selling. Promoters are not selling. That's a good sign. FIA is not heavily selling, not wholly invested. It's a good sign. Not too much retail. That's also a good sign. 500 sales, 5,000 crore market cap. Doesn't work for me in this market. Operating margin is decent. The business is decent. Everything is decent, but it does look overvalued. I wouldn't buy. It still might give you 100x return. I can't tell you that. But I wouldn't buy. My personal opinion would be that. So Pharma stocks, sniper dog, yeah, I'm going to look for a chance to short Pharma if I can find any. Rudra, personally like hotel businesses because they're linked with tourism. I actually love going. So I just went to Rajasthan and what an experience. It was beautiful. Like the roads, especially the Delhi Mumbai Expressway, I did not feel like I was in India for large stretches, at least the India I remember. I felt like I had come to Spain. That's what the roads were like. So, and people had the civic sense, right? Like to move to the left and only overtake from the right. I was so happy with that. And then the resort in itself was drop dead gorgeous, the animals and everything else. India does, nobody does hospitality like India or Southeast Asia. Hospitality in terms of how you're treated, Bali, India, these are untouchable. Europe doesn't even fall in the top 5, 10, 15, 20. Like I wouldn't go to Europe unless I'm going for a specific thing. If I want to skydive, sure, I'm going to Hardegrat or around it. If I want to eat a specific kind of food and I feel like, you know what, this is an exposure I need, then sure. But otherwise, Southeast Asia, India beat everyone else in hospitality. I'm so with you on that, Rudra. Okay. Now, network technologies hasn't fallen much, and I can see why, right? There's still belief that the AI revolution is untouched. So if that gets in trouble, then we'll see network crash heavily. I'm talking 20% circuit to circuit, a couple of days, 3 days, till all the selling can come out. And that's when I'll buy. I don't think this is going anywhere, right? Like the technology itself is not going anywhere. And network will be a winner there. I'm not surprised. I feel bad because I didn't buy into it as much as I would like to. But network might see some more selling before it becomes the multi-bagger. So I think this is all I had for today, Rudra, in terms of the stocks. Because as I said, like the last sentence says it all, right? It's still not the time to buy. I could not convince myself for so many stocks that I did want to buy. Let me show you my complete list. You can then see how it works and how it doesn't work for you. Right? Let me just make sure I don't have anything else here. Okay. So let's share this. Give me a second. There we go. So this is the complete list, right? I'm talking metals, I'm talking Anantraj. None of them seem like they're good enough to buy into yet. Axelia probably, but otherwise not really. So if I look at Axelia and Hemisphere, I didn't really check. Oh, sorry. So this is the list. Axelia and Hemisphere Properties I did not really check. So I'm just going to make that check. Yeah, give me 1 second. But otherwise, that's the thing. I could not find stocks that had come to a good enough support for me to say that, yeah, it's time to buy. What happened here? There we go. Okay. So let's say Axelia, very interested in this company, mainly for the dividend yield. Problem is AI could hurt it, but no. So it's broken through supports, which means now it finds support at the 850 level above. That's what I'd be more interested to buy. And Hemisphere Properties is another one I want to buy. Land values will rise, especially with this trend. And I want you guys to research into this because I haven't made up my mind on it. I'd love your opinion on going around that the digitization of money, the complete digitization of money, or let me call it in technical terms, tokenization of money and transactions as a whole, is becoming a big deal. BlackRock has been very clear about it. China is doing it in a big way. The US has been very clear about their intention to do so. And there was an interview where this very educated lady said that the reason the Iran war started was one, of course, Middle East tensions, whatnot, but they've always existed. One of the biggest reasons is it's the biggest leak in the system that is not going to your CBDC and tokenized money. CBDC, central bank digital currency. You heard of it, research it, you'll understand it better. It's not as complicated as people make it seem. So see what you guys think about it. I won't say any more, otherwise you'll start getting my opinion. Try to form an opinion and let's talk about it on Wednesday. Let me get your opinions as well because I don't know enough about this sector. I want to understand better and maybe you guys understand, know, read something that I don't know yet. This war, oh, I don't want to say it. I think you know what I want, what I would like to say, but no, I don't want to say it. But I feel like that's the only way it ends. If it's a simple war, but if it's a war of attrition that the US also wants, then it never ends. It just goes on for 5 years, and we suffer. We continue to suffer. The US has enough oil, Russia has enough oil, China has enough oil. We're the only ones who suffer. Us and others like us. When I mean like the South Koreas of the world, the Japans of the world. Yes, next session will go. But do read up on this, the tokenization of money and how the Iran war could be linked to it. Why Anantraj, when entries a peak in history, is mind to support the question of depreciation. Speaking while it has to raise money to support the real estate business. I didn't understand the question completely, Prakhar, but I'll try to explain where Anantraj is facing an issue, and I think it's got everything to do with valuations. Too much, too fast. That is just it. Like, is Anantraj trying to do the right things? Yeah. But does that justify the $50 to 1,900, let's say, price range? Come on, like 18 times over a period of 2 years because they said they'll build data centers. Data centers are a low margin business, a very low margin business. You're not going to make a huge amount of profit doing that. You'll be indispensable, right? But you work a low margin business. So you can double, you can triple, and over time you can compound as computing changes. Because I think there is a big change that has to come in. The way our data centers and our computing works right now is not feasible. The amount of energy, the amount of water we'll need will bankrupt the country. So that can't work. There has to be an alternative way to make it happen, which someone is developing, I'm sure. There are researchers working on it, the best minds are working on it to figure out how they can reduce the cost, pardon me, of running these high-end computing models. When that happens, it might be brilliant for data centers, and then Anantraj could go to 1,000 again, or it might be detrimental for them, and then these stocks will go back to zero. And that is why I'm saying that as much as I love the AI theme, data centers are under question right now. Because these guys are, as you said, right, they're debt heavy, right? Even if it's your own money, you still have to count for the cost of capital, right? The opportunity cost, which in turn means that if data centers don't really pick up for 3 years and these companies are heavily invested in it, what happens? They're losing out on all that investment. Even if they'll play out 3 years later, right now they won't. So for 3 years, you're losing out on, let's say, 50% of your capital. Even at 8% discounted, you lost half your capital. Or of total capital, you lost about 20% of it. You got to mark that out, right? That means 20% gone off of your base price, not this price, of your base price. इसका 20% नहीं होगा ना, वो इसका 20% होगा, बिकॉज यहाँ से आपकी कैपिटल गिनी जाएगी. So I can't go into data center stocks with a clean conscience right now. Yeah, BlackRock also came up with what was the name? Yeah, I forgot, for the tokenization of everything. Onyx, right? The platform. Yeah, it should be on a crash list. Yeah, I agree. So again, crypto, I'm really considering going more into. Right now, as I said, I'm about 1% invested in crypto. I want to make it 3-5. I feel like either crypto is going to go 100x from here, and that means my 5% become 500%, or it's just going to go boom boom. And that means, oh my God, what do we do now? So I really want to add to my Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, maybe not Ethereum, Bitcoin, Solana, and a couple more. I don't even remember their names. That's how bad I am at crypto. But I feel like I'm going to have to start becoming better at it. I feel like somewhere this tokenization thing is going to become the base of all financial markets. And it's good. In the long term, it's good. That means your settlements happen immediately. You can sell a stock right now and use that margin to buy right now. I'm not talking about futures or options. I'm talking about like your stock, and you're not taking margin because the settlement happens instantaneously because it's a blockchain, right? So the tracking is perfect. There can be nothing, you can't go wrong. So that's something I have to read up on. But just to put it all in one place, right? Gap down tomorrow seems a near certainty and a big gap down. I'm not talking 200 points, I'm talking 400, 500 points gap down. Binance, Raghav. Binance. Even though I don't like it, but what do I do? And for me, it's all cold wallets, right? I don't keep any money in Binance. When I want to buy something, I'm going to buy it there. I'm going to shift it to my cold wallet and done. Okay, so coming back to this, I think a significant gap down tomorrow, 400, 500 points seems like it for right now. If it's in a cold wallet, sniper dog, how does it matter? Right now, at least. When I sell, then we'll see. But for now, I'm not concerned about it. I'm going to sell 10, 20 years later. I have no interest in selling right now. If I'm keeping crypto, I'm keeping it till the world has evolved to its better form. And by then, I think taxation would have changed in a big way as well. Coming back to it, yeah, 400, 500 points down seems like a near certainty, if not more. Tomorrow may be the panic day that I've been talking about today. Maybe that I cannot say, of course, because it's psychology. I don't know how mass psychology is going to work, but it could very well be because things have taken the worst possible turn. Like I can't, unless US drops a nuclear bomb to end the war, I can't think of a worse scenario. Houthis joining the war, US losing soldiers on its base, US soldiers reaching the Middle East, all of this happening instantaneously, right? Simultaneously. It's the worst possible situation for financial markets. And if a small declaration comes in, the Red Sea is closed by the Houthis, and you see insurance prices soar there, and that means we're just done. That's oil 150 overnight, perhaps 200 over 1 month, 1.5 months if it's continuing. And anyway, we know that if the blockade of just the Strait of Hormuz continues till April 15th, this has been said by the guy whose video link I shared here, April 15th tak bhi rehta hai, and that means a severe global recession, not a simple one. Right now, we're looking at a simple global recession happening. That's a severe global recession. That is financial markets correcting 40, 50%. That is Nifty 13,000, 14,000. Now, I'm not saying that's happening, but I'm saying all of that has come on the now. Whether it happens or not, only time can tell, and I'll be here every couple of days or 3 days, right? And we'll figure it out together. But do read up on tokenization and digitization of financial markets and money as a whole. Please, I need your opinions. This is a request from my side. I'm not saying this for you, I'm saying this for me. Read up on it because this is very interesting. I haven't managed to make up my mind on it, which is kind of killing me because I don't understand it well enough. So if you have friends who work in this, tell them, ask them, and then come and tell me about it. But I want to understand this deeper. I want to understand this better. And I want you guys to understand this as well. I feel like this is going to be perhaps the most important learning curve of late. All right. Any other questions? I'm here for another minute. If there are no questions, thank you so much for joining me, everyone. It's always amazing, amazing to have you guys. Chainlink I like as well there. Yep, Chainlink, Solana for sure. I'm not buying a lot of Ethereum now because Solana's kind of replacing it. I wouldn't buy Rajesh exports right now. Like I love downtrodden stocks. So one tranche, yeah, but not massively right now. One tranche definitely, but not like all I want. Let it at least let the selling freeze go out. Yeah, because I know the company is not going anywhere. It could go to 20 as well. And the only reason I'm not buying heavily like I would Delta Corp, for example, is I mean, it's a boring business. It's a very low, zero margin पे चलती है company यार. Like, see, so it could still work out brilliantly. It could still work out very, very well. But patiently, slow accumulation would be best. Good night, Rudra. Yeah, this is so. The thing is now where I'm getting stuck. Weirdly, we'll talk about it when you're done. I'll tell you where I got stuck with this. I don't want to say anything, Abhi, otherwise your angle of reading will change. I don't want that to happen. Just read up on this from your own opinion, your own thinking, and then we'll discuss this Wednesday. Whoever's up for it. Obviously, we'll have more to talk about in the financial markets because big things are going to happen. Monday is going to be, unless a big news comes in, Monday is going to be pretty difficult. Signs are it's going to be the toughest day of the war so far. Signs at least point to that. Done, mate. Thank you. Ecos mobility. Okay, let's see. Car rental services. Okay, so I use car rental services. For me, Avis is the go-to for cities I don't know in India. Blacklane is the go-to for anything abroad. And Delhi specifically, there is Pune Travels. I've never come across Ecos Mobility unless they're the ones who run Avis. No, they don't run Avis, do they? So is this business good? Yeah. The business is solid. Right? Problem is, Abhi, as the economy slows, they'll suffer a little bit, but the business is solid. I would want to invest in it if they do the right things. That's a big part of this. If they do the right things, I'd want to invest in it. I'm just looking at their website. Yeah. Long term looks good because this business is good. This is going to pick up. People don't like driving now as much as they did earlier. Pehle, cars were a thing. You wanted to drive. You wanted to prove you were a driver. Now people are more like, it's getting me A to B. That's all I care about. Get me a chauffeur. Get me a car. Done. I've gone through that transformation at least. So I think, and most people I know kind of would like that. They might not spend on it, but they would like that. Many people that I know. Some people are driving fans. That's completely different. But if you get a car from a company, people would take it. And that's why this business for the long term looks good to me. But because we're looking at a slowdown, I wouldn't go into it right now. I'd wait. Because economic slowdown with these companies would basically lose most of their business. Especially the Iran war also hurts all the business travel, right? Middle East travel is basically stopped. So I would wait, but yeah, good company to be in, Prasant. Thank you for bringing my radar. It's a really nice company. I should have it somewhere in my list. And I hope we're done now. Yeah. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Again, capital preservation is the trick, guys. We get through this phase and the bull run will make us a lot of money. We don't have to make money here unless we can short, and then, yeah, this is a good market for that as well. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Have a good night. Safe trading. Bye-bye. My pleasure, Janan. It is always amazing to be around you guys. Thank you for making it. I wanted to do this, but you guys kind of make me want to do this, if that makes sense. Yeah. Good night. Good night. Good night.